Today, amongst other things, I'll explain to you what a first commercial Starship flight to orbit, including a payload separation and 2 landings, will look like in detail.
What about it? Go for launch.
We're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
Ignition sequence start.
My name is Felix and I am your host for today's episode of What About It? And as always, there has been a lot going on in the space industry lately, so let's dive right in. Starship updates. Hello Y family! The SpaceX Starship flight of serial number 8 is still waiting for its launch day and anticipation is at an all-time high. To keep you on the ground while waiting for the big day, I've thought of something special for us to do. Today we'll try to answer together what a first real Starship flight will look like. We'll dive deep into the mission layout, look at some numbers, and in the end we'll hopefully have our virtual payload delivered and both Starship and booster safely returned back to Earth. So bear with me and enjoy the flight. This is it, SpaceX's Starship serial number 8 ready for the flight through Mauricio's camera lens. His bird's eye view, as always, gives us an awesome angle to see what's going on in Boca Chica. By now fully assembled and running through final tests like cryo-proof testing for the header tanks and a final static fire, it's readying up for the big day. After all this is done, a first flight up to 15 kilometers will be performed. In a recent tweet, Elon Musk finally gave us some info about the flight and if we'll get an official stream from SpaceX, and yes we do. In fact, he said that we'll see every frame of footage that they'll do, which sounds quite good if you ask me. Today though, we'll look ahead into the future, where Starships have left the prototype phase and the next big day is a first commercial flight. Thanks to Eric, Corey, Nick and Casper Stanley, we'll be able to witness that first flight way before anyone else. So make sure to show them some love in the comments, follow them on Twitter and subscribe to their channels. And what better payload to choose for this than a pack of 360 SpaceX Starlink satellites, as that's what many flights in the beginning will likely be carrying. And here it is, SpaceX's Starship serial number X, as I like to call it, the first commercially available prototype. The first one you could book a flight for and send your own payload to space at a price tag of as low as $10 per kilogram. Compared to the currently available $2,000 and more, that's extremely cheap, and that's the main goal for SpaceX's Starship. Drive down costs as much as possible. It's incredibly hard to say right now when we can expect that to happen, but if everything works out, at some point it actually will. Right before the flight, propellant will be loaded into the main and header tanks of both Starship and Super Heavy booster. And both of them will load liquid oxygen as the oxidizer and liquid methane as the propellant needed to power the Raptor engines. This is what happens inside the Starship upper stage before launch. Both propellant and oxidizer are being pumped into the tanks through connectors on the engine skirt. First the main tanks are filled up and then the header tanks as well. I'll explain later what exactly these header tanks are used for. SpaceX will likely use the so-called load and go process for their Starships. The same method they are using for their Falcon 9 rockets. As soon as fuel loading is done, the rocket lifts off. This has the benefit of minimizing bleed off and being able to load supercooled liquids which are denser and thus improve the vehicle's performance even further. After the first stage's 28 Raptor engines pass an automated health check, hold-down clamps will release the Super Heavy booster for liftoff from the pad. It's still not completely clear yet how much thrust SpaceX will be able to get out of these 2 different engine configurations. But right now it looks like the 8 center engines that are able to gimbal will have around 200 tons of thrust each, and the outer 20 fixed engines will be at 250 tons. That would make it a total of 6,600 tons of thrust at liftoff. Max Q is reached at around 1 minute and 20 seconds, only a few seconds after passing the speed of sound. This is where speed and atmospheric density create the moment at which the rocket has to go through the maximum aerodynamic stress. Out of the denser parts of the atmosphere, the booster has done its job and main engine cutoff occurs. All booster engines shut off simultaneously and the rocket prepares for booster separation. Here something happens we all know by now. The booster separates from the upper stage, or Starship in this case. It's not known yet what kind of separation method the Starship will utilize, but if it is similar to what a Falcon 9 rocket uses, it will utilize reusable separation collets to attach the 2 stages and a pneumatic pusher system to separate them. Immediately after separation, the booster starts to reorient itself for the boost back burn, while the Starship upper stage continues forward into orbit. And of course, the boost back burn is needed to change the booster's trajectory and set it up for re-entry. At this stage, the Super Heavy booster does a landing burn and returns back to the launch site, while the Starship ignites its 3 Vacuum Raptor engines and raises its orbit further. And then the grand moment has arrived and the Starship opens up its clamshell fairing and releases the payload. In this case, it's 360 Starlink satellites at 260 kilograms each. That's 93.6 metric tons of payload in one flight. A Falcon 9 would have needed 6 flights for the same amount of sats, and it still is cheaper than even a single Falcon 9 flight. And then at this stage, the Starship does what no other upper stage has ever done. It re-enters the atmosphere with its heat shield similar to a space shuttle, bleeding off speed and essentially transforming it into heat, which will be kept away from the Starship with a massive heat shield. Starship, contrary to the Super Heavy booster, will be covered with thousands of heat shield tiles on one side of the vehicle to be able to withstand the harsh conditions of re-entry. A Crew Dragon, for example, experiences temperatures of up to 2000 degrees Celsius or 3500 degrees Fahrenheit when re-entering the atmosphere. A space shuttle only had to endure 1650 degrees Celsius or 3000 degrees Fahrenheit on re-entry. And on top of that, temperatures differ wildly depending on the spot on the hull and the stage of re-entry. And then something almost magical happens. The Starship controls its orientation and flight path mainly with its large aerodynamic surfaces, or flaps as Elon Musk calls them. While in freefall, the Starship will utilize its large fins to change orientation. Roll, pitch and yaw can be achieved only by moving these 4 large fins. Of course, RCS thrusters will be in place to help with the movement, but if done right, this will be an impressive sight to witness. And then comes the landing of a rocket's upper stage. After taking off, delivering a payload and re-entering the atmosphere, the Starship aims slightly away from the landing pad to not damage it in case of an anomaly. Once the vehicle is committed though, it swings over, does the famous belly flop maneuver, reorienting its Raptor engines downwards and sticks the landing. That's it, the whole flight of a SpaceX Starlink launch with a Starship from ignition to landing. It might very well be that we see this within a year, maybe 2. It's revolutionary, and if it works, it's here to stay. A 100% reusable rocket just has too many advantages over a single-use rocket if done right. If SpaceX manages to keep maintenance between flights fast and cheap and still have reliable launches. If the heat shield works and the flap approach is capable of controlling the flight path. There are a few ifs left, of course, but if anyone can solve it, it's SpaceX. Like the episode so far? Then make sure to subscribe, hit the like button and consider becoming a patron to give some vital support. Your support makes all this possible in the first place. And if you want to show the world that you're a fan of What About It and rockets, check out our merch store and dress differently. It's full of designs made to fill your closets and drawers with awesome shirts, hoodies, zippers, jackets, space caps, cups, bags, you get the idea. Every sale supports the channel, links are in the description. You rock! Super Heavy update. Now let's look at Super Heavy in detail again. Let's see how far SpaceX is and let's see if we can shed some light on tank size. Brandon has finished yet another one of his awesome Starship prototype progress diagrams. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. Here we can see the latest overview of prototypes and parts that have been identified on site. Besides the Starship prototypes on the left side, there are parts for Super Heavy on the right, which we'll focus on for today's Super Heavy update. In the end, these parts will have to be stacked to form the first ever prototype of Starship's booster rocket. 37 rings stacked to a height of 70 meters with room for roughly 2,650 tons of liquid oxygen and 740 tons of liquid methane. That's a total of 3,400 tons of propellant and oxidizer at a ratio of 78% O2 and 22% CH4. A while back, Elon Musk tweeted that he believes that he can bring down propellant costs to around $100 per ton, which would make one tank fill of Super Heavy $340,000. Keep that in mind the next time you're at the gas station, it can always be more expensive. It's just 340,000 for pump A, please. When looking at a picture of a fully stacked Super Heavy booster, it doesn't look like 78% to 22% at all though, right? To be precise, it's 55.6% oxygen and 44.4% methane tank. But why is that? It's because of wildly different densities of liquid oxygen and liquid methane. Even though the Raptor engines need a ratio of 78% oxygen, the volume in the tanks is much less at 55.6%. 22% of the total fuel, but 44.4% in the tanks. A cubic meter can hold 1093 kilograms of liquid oxygen, but only 443.9 kilograms of liquid methane. And that's not even taking into account that if super chilled, the density rises even further, which could very much be the plan, at least for the Super Heavy booster and a load and go fueling scenario, since it would not need to keep the fuel cold for long compared to the Starship upper stage. Those are speculation at this point and might not be in the final version. Here's another picture from RGB aerial photography. It shows the now almost finished high bay at SpaceX's South Texas Starship construction site in Boca Chica. Looking closer at the picture, the two scaffolds for Super Heavy construction can clearly be seen. And right in front of the high bay, the stack of Super Heavy segments likely intended for the first booster to be built is steadily growing. Some of the parts are not identified yet, so it's hard to tell if all of them are for a Super Heavy booster, but Nick and I have been at work again trying to give you a good overview of how far along the construction of segments already is. So we have the lower two ring segments for the LOX tank confirmed and ready for stacking, and it will go here. We have two segments with 4 rings each also for the liquid oxygen tank, and they will go here. We also have the common dome sleeve, which will go here, but it still is missing the common dome itself. We have 1 ring segment for the upper methane tank, and we already have the forward dome with the sleeve. Again, we did not place any segments yet that are not confirmed. If we do that, we'd almost be done with the booster by now. I am very much interested in seeing the engine section and later the booster legs. Lots of debate has been going on about the design. If there's one thing all this development tells us, it's that maybe the most important part of it all is to constantly improve on your skills. And if you want to be able to do so, you will need a good learning resource. If I take my experience of starting my own YouTube channel, for example, skills for recording footage and taking pictures the right way were very necessary, but in the beginning I basically knew nothing about it. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, develop existing interests, and get lost in creativity. The perfect place for people like me who want to start something new and creative. Today I picked Justin Bridges and his course about fundamentals of DSLR photography, as that's exactly what I would have needed to get my skill set up fast from someone who really knows what he's doing. A real-world fashion and lifestyle photographer based out of New York City. Imagine you could learn directly from him how to use your own camera in a professional way. With Skillshare you can do exactly that. How do I expose a picture the right way? How to position the camera for a good framing? And maybe most importantly, how to punch in the correct settings in the first place? If I had only known that, well, you get the idea. Filming up the nose might not be the best way to do it, right, Justin? Skillshare offers membership with meaning. Connect with the support of fellow creatives and enter a community of encouragement, communication, and inspiration. And the best thing is, Skillshare is giving away a free trial membership of Skillshare Premium to the first 1,000 people who click the link in the description box. And after that, it's only around $10 a month. Click link, get free learning from the best, and support What About It at the same time. Easy, right? Link is in the description. Now, before we do the supporter shout out, I have a special request for you. My wife and I recently were guests on the podcast Total Space, and we talked about how YouTube changed our lives and how SpaceX will change many more lives in the future. We had a blast, and you can listen to the whole podcast. An anchor link and the link to the episode on YouTube are in the description. Go check them out. Total Space, you rock. Today's YouTube member and Patreon shoutout goes to John Lenato, Mark Osby, Decula, and many others. You rock. Welcome to the Y family. If you want to be part of the Discord community, chat with me and others on the voice channels, or even be part of the team that helps create What About It twice a week, consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member by clicking on the link in the description or the join button right under this video. Thank you. And the last words, as always, go out to my team. Today I want to honor 3 people: Miko, another space nut, and Rich LB. They are the hosts at Total Space who interviewed me. That's not the reason for the special mention though. It's for pursuing their dream of creating their own content. It's for pressing the record button and doing their own podcast. Keep going, absolutely awesome, you rock. This is what happens inside inside of it. I love TH. Load and go. Like a drive-in Starship. After this, the first stage 28 Raptors, the Raptors. But if it is similar, super heavy booster for liftoff from the pad. No, that was wrong. Volume in the tanks is much less at 55.6%. Off. We also have the common dome sleeve.